And that's us live. Hi,
Okay,
Charlotte.
cool. Hi, Suzy. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Feeling confident?
Am I ever feeling confident? Now, there's a big question to start today with. Yes, confidence is isn't that the start to park life?
Oh, I don't
Confidence.
know. Maybe.
Anyway, well,
Technical question. How do I see comments from people? Do I need to look at the post?
comments on LinkedIn should pop up on our feed here in StreamYard on the right hand side.
Okay,
Um,
perfect.
there could be people watching on Facebook and
Ooh.
YouTube as well. Uh, we will see what happens with their comments because I'm not entirely sure, but we will give it a go. But I know that LinkedIn comments will pop up. I can definitely see them when they arrive on my little panel here, so I will make sure that we can share them and reply to them.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. We'll get that admin out of the way for anyone who's actually joined to talk about confidence and ADHD. First of all, if you haven't met us before and you didn't join us for our last Facts and Snacks, which is our version of a lunch and learn, I'm Charlotte, um, founder of ADHD Club and ADHD coach and content creator. And yeah, we're here to talk about confidence because I'm about to launch a group program with Addy, which starts next Monday. And Suzy has kindly suggested that I talk to the good people of LinkedIn and other platforms about it. And yeah, and I will introduce Suzy. Suzy is here. Suzy can introduce herself. Sorry, I'm not doing sentences very well.
Susie will not say that she's Charlotte, which I did last time we did one of these. I am definitely Susie. I run the Technicolor Project, a fellow ADHD coach, but I particularly help people to build, run, and grow their own businesses with ADHD. And I think ADHD for entrepreneurs, as well as for people at work in general, is a real confidence nightmare. Um, in part because of how it can affect us, but in part because of how it's perceived by other people and all of the messaging that we get about deficits, about all of the bad stuff and the ways in which we're different in the world. And that is right up there at the top of my lists of things that really bug me on a day to day basis, which is why I love the Sound of Confidence Club so much. Because I think that definitely for me personally, and for a good portion of the people that I work with day to day, I could really do with, I could desperately do with just having more of a rooting of confidence and things and feeling good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And even like the name ADHD is just not very accurate. Hi, Sue. Thanks for waving. Appreciate it. Um, I did wave back. Yeah, so actually focusing on what we can do and coming at life from a place of I'm awesome at this and I need a bit of support with this rather than like there's a huge deficit. And if anyone has ADHD, it's not a deficit of attention, it's more of directing attention. And yeah, there are so many things that we can do much more easily than other people. Hi, Kevin. And yeah, this course kind of aims to help remind people of these things and also through the process of coaching exercises, help people to be more confident rather than just being like, be more confident or don't you
Yeah.
know that ADHD is a superpower? It's like it's very patronizing. So yeah, so actually looking at like practical things that can help you to gain confidence as someone with ADHD. And like as Suzy said, it's kind of about like there are so many ways that we can feel not confident. So like there's that old stat that maybe someone made up about having 20,000 more pieces of criticism with ADHD than a neurotypical child, which I 100% believe. Um, and kind of starting from a young age, like if you forget your PE kit, like you're going to get told off, and that can kind of continue into adulthood because of society valuing things like a tidy house or attention to detail can make you feel a bit crap if you're not good at those things naturally. Whereas actually, if you can focus more on what you can do and then make workarounds for the things that you can't do, that's the kind of attitude of the course. And also that it's like very much a work in progress. And yeah, and with Sue, it's a disorder. It's actually just a different way of working. And like if you think of yourself as like I don't know, like a Mac versus a PC, or like oil paints versus pens. Like oil paints can do so many different more colors than just a black felt tip pen. But if you're trying to do the same line work as a felt tip pen, if you're an oil paint, it's going to be harder. So yeah, that's kind of why we need more confidence. And
And
yeah,
just
I'm gonna. Oh, you
a
go.
more, a more positive kind of a more positive jumping off point. Do you know what I mean? So for a lot of us, especially those of us who are diagnosed later in life, and by later in life, I don't mean in your 40s like I was, I just mean outside of the original bit of school, like aged 8 or below, where we were originally, thanks for that, where we were originally told about these things. Like for those who are diagnosed a little bit later on than that, all of the diagnostic stuff is really led in deficits and negative differences. And Sue is right on my point there. Some of my ADHD traits are really empowering. I absolutely know that that's true. And yet, in those days where I was really mired in how to describe what I felt like were my symptoms of having ADHD and not knowing it for so long, all I could see was the bad things. All I could see were the ways in which it was making my life insurmountably harder. And I completely lost all of the ways in which it makes me actually very good at what I do. And having, and even then I hesitated before I said that, because I'm like, can I say that I'm very good at things? But yeah, I can. I kind of can. But I would love to be able to do it without feeling the need to hesitate every time.
Yeah, for sure. And like I also think it's kind of things like social intelligence or like deep empathy, and something that you have, Susie, which is amazing, is like you will always fight for people so fiercely, and you've got such a strong sense of justice and also empathy for people who haven't been understood. Like you have such an ability to kind of, and a real open-mindedness of like figuring people out and like kind of taking people as they are, and that is amazing. And like, would you have had that if you hadn't have had those experiences yourself? It makes you super empathetic and awesome.
I think what we're saying is come to Confidence Club and Charlotte will say nice things to you that make you feel good about yourself.
No,
Maybe
that will
more,
actually be really horrible. No.
maybe more the point is that you'll help people to work out how to find those things for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. And we do that in a couple of ways. So it's not just going to be like, what are you good at? Because if someone says, what am I good at? It's certainly not going to be stringing a sentence together. But it's using things like the VIA strength survey, which comes out with character strength. So it's not like, I don't know, being good at art or running. That's more of a talent. It's actually like creativity or empathy or social intelligence. So it's quite a nice one to work with if you're not quite sure what you're good at, or if you've forgotten. So there'll be like actual exercises rather than me just going, "You're doing amazing, sweetie," in like a life coachy way. So yeah, and so definitely it's okay to shout about it, but it can be uncomfortable if you've not practiced it for a while.
Yep.
And that's the thing, like attention, like what you focus on becomes easier to focus on over time. And like if it makes you want to, like, actually saying that I'm a good coach or I'm good at my job kind of makes me want to like hurl into the bin next to me. But um I've met some great coaches, I've met some not so great coaches, and I feel like I'm doing all right. So it's kind of reminding yourself of these things, but also kind of trusting the process of coaching in itself, that you'll be spat out the other side, hopefully remembering a bit more confidence, having a bit more confidence, or remembering things.
So what are the kind of things that you think trip people up the most when it comes to confidence with their ADHD? What are the kind of things that you hear from people that they can work on?
That's a really good question. So negative self-talk,
Yeah.
so kind of like that critical voice, and that can appear as like imposter syndrome. So that is a big thing, and it's kind of what can help with that is basically like looking at the cold hard facts. So like, um, I don't know, like I have a feedback form where clients can, like after a session, can put like anything that they want me to do differently, which I literally ask for. But whenever I get feedback on that form, I'm like, oh, they're hating coaching then. But then that's what, critical Charlotte says. But then actually, if I was on like in a court of law, it's like someone showed up, they paid for a session. They literally said, you're good at your job last week. We had a really good time. Like they made some amazing revelations and they're super excited to like they left the session feeling better than after they started the session, all of those things. So basically, like when dealing with imposter syndrome, if you think like, okay, list the facts like it's a court of law. And also what I say to people is if they're going to overthink things, go to town, like go for it, but you've got to look at both sides.
Yeah.
So that helps. So like if there is someone saying, oh, like you're never going to sell this confidence course because you're not that confident yourself, for example, hypothetically, like actually I'm like, not being 100%, who is 100% confident? Is 100% confident possible? And if you wait until you're 100% confident to do anything, then I'd never leave the house. So actually kind of going through it with an empathetic point of view is okay. And I've really benefited from people who are kind of on the journey with you and maybe just like a one step ahead. So yeah, I think that imposter syndrome and just like negative self-talk. But what we can do is on week 2, it's fighting confidence killers. So we're going to do some like thought challenging exercises so that you can basically, when the devil on your shoulder says, you're rubbish at your job, then the angel can be like, but you got that really good email last week and it's in your positive folder. Have a look at it. So yeah, that's probably a big one.
Finding balance, like in those things when we're so naturally predisposed to be like, but one bit of negative feedback means that I'm rubbish at everything, and one bit of good feedback just means that that one person was happy about that one thing, and it means nothing wider. And like that for me personally is a huge issue, and the lack of balance there, so I think having something that helps people to be like, actually, let's look at this. Like for me, I have to treat it like it's somebody else. I have to almost be impartial from it to be able to step back and go, but in the like you say, in a court of law, the balances of probability and all of that kind of stuff is that I'm not horrendous at what I do most of the time, and that has to be okay. But sitting in that feeling alone, I think, is particularly difficult, and that's why I was so intrigued when this was your kind of first group coaching, and working on it with the guys at Addy, which is a brilliant app that's designed specifically to support ADHDers, because I feel like confidence can unlock so much of helping people to get their ADHD, like to be that positive that we know that it can be for them.
Yeah, for sure. And like the reason why I did this course is I was thinking about like what is the biggest difference that I see in my clients, and it makes me want to vomit, and it's very life coachy, but it is basically self-belief. So it's not having the like you'll find, I don't know, I'll ask you an actual question instead of assuming this, but it's not finding the perfect organizational strategy. It's not writing a to-do list that makes the biggest difference. It's actually remembering what they're good at, knowing their value at work means that they can advocate for themselves, means that they can confidently ask for help in situations. It means that they can say, actually, no, I don't want to go for Chinese tonight. I want to have pizza instead in a group of friends, which can be something impossible to say. And it also means that they're able to be more themselves rather than trying to like be this perfect, unattainable, like neurotypical person that you might, I don't know, the person that works 9 to 5, like does the like traditional life path and all of those things. Whereas actually, if you become more confident, then it has such a knock-on effect on everything, because you're going to have difficult conversations sooner in your relationship when you're a little bit annoyed at something rather than stewing on something for 6 months and like all of those things. So yeah, it's a bit of a I was going to do putting the fun in executive function, but confidence, I know, maybe next time. But yeah, confidence kind of is a bit of a like in red thread, if we're going to be weird and corporate about it, but it is the thread that connects all of my clients together, and also just all the people that I speak to with ADHD on various socials and stuff. Like, it is self-belief and actually kind of owning who you are and being more of that, rather than like trying to find a system to make you not who you are.
And what I really love about the confidence thing is that we can change it. Like, we're in complete control of our own confidence. So we aren't reliant on any kind of external forces for this. We can we can choose confidence in a way. And I guess that's, that's what you get from deciding, right, this is an area of my life where I want to make a difference. I want to feel more confident because that will unlock so much in life for me, but also to get to not spend every evening when I'm trying to go to sleep thinking about the 15 things I've done that day and worrying about the 16 things that I've got to do the next day, and like being able to sit in a bit more comfort in life. I think that kind of comes from confidence too.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, just sitting comfortably in life is really what we want to do. To get a bit meta on that, but I would disagree with choosing. I think you kind of have to practice confidence before you can choose confidence, because I don't know if I like when I wake up and I've like not, I don't know, not slept or I'm feeling rubbish, I don't know if confidence is a choice at that point. However, things that help me to practice confidence are like, I don't know, doing an enjoyable task like speaking to people first thing before I get on with my day, or so it's kind of a bit like, basically the more you practice confidence, the more you know how to make it a choice. And it's, yeah, it's certainly like a work in progress. And I don't think that, I mean, there's so many factors, sleep for one of them. If you're like running on empty or haven't had your hobnob of the day, yeah. Sorry, I just had to bring, we did say we were doing facts and snacks, so stage left hobnob.
Second time I've got no snacks. I'm really bad at the snacks part of. I have facts and thanks. I have facts and Bonjela. Not sponsored, but Bonjela has been keeping me alive for like a week now. So fun times.
Not spawn.
Fun times.
Maybe we should ask them.
Well, I'm getting closer and closer. So talk to me a little bit about rejection stuff, because I feel like that's so deeply linked to confidence, is the ability to cope with rejection in the way that we kind of feel it.
Yeah, for sure. So the example that I always use is I like cried for 3 hours after someone told me the numbers were wrong in the report, because they were from the previous month in a monthly report, and then kind of just like, I've got much better at it kind of through a mix of things, but like any kind of criticism at work, I used to massively, I mean, it didn't help that I was fired 3 times, but that's another story. But there was a reason why I catastrophized any kind of negative feedback at work. But yeah, just like not, well, I don't know if I'll ever get to a point where I don't get hot and sweaty about feedback, but realizing that like, if I get one email and it throws me off for an afternoon, then there will be a new day the next day. And actually, over time, I mean, it's kind of, so your prefrontal lobe only develops fully when you're 25. So I think that's one of the 100 reasons why working in your early 20s is categorically very hard, along with rejection sensitive dysphoria. So I think over time, I've got a wider context of like, okay, if someone sends me one email and they're annoyed, then it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be fired. And also, if someone's firing over you if you're being fired over one email, then you're probably not in a great psychologically safe workspace, and that's probably not great for you. So yeah, it's been a mix, like that can just have a huge difference. And it's basically, if you don't have RSD and you're listening, it's being like pied in the face and then crying all day. But it could be, that's what it feels like. But objectively, it could be someone said the numbers are wrong in the report, or yeah, we need to I need to give you amends on something that you've asked for approval for or something like that. And it's just basically neurologically, people with ADHD are more physically and emotionally sensitive. So it's just like the reason why neurodivergent people have sensory issues. Like, we are just more sensitive, and that's okay. And actually just making peace with the fact that, you know, I'm a sensitive person, and that means that I care deeply. I'm super creative. I can think in very creative ways. However, that also has a double-edged sword of making creative, elaborate stories as to why I'm going to get fired because of one email, and it kind of comes with it. So yeah, that's really hard to deal with. And it's kind of working out your own strategies. So like, there's the coaching cliche, which is name it to tame it. So just kind of realizing, trying to put arm's length between you and the feeling. So if you are super stressed about something, don't be like, you shouldn't be stressed about that. Why are you being so dramatic? Be like, okay, this is RSD. I'm super stressed, and maybe I need to go to bed or go to your sofa or grab a cat to cuddle or something, kind of not fighting it. And then also time. So if you're going to send a really reactive text, just physically get yourself away from your phone, sleep on it before you respond to the email, write a bitchy draft in a Google document, like, you know, whatever you need to do to distance yourself between it. And then also getting support. So like, me and my friend kind of counsel each other through voice notes. Like, I might send a message to Suzy being like, my partner's filed for divorce, by which I mean he said that I could do more housework while he's at work, and so that he doesn't come home to a messy house. But like, actually just having a couple of people that you can be like, panic, and then also, yeah, just kind of, you know, working on it over time. But yeah, the myth is, like, if you come to coaching, you can not be sort out your emotional dramas. Like, I haven't sorted out my own emotional dramas, but it's just realizing that it's not as catastrophic, and having a bit more empathy and sympathy for myself, so that if I do have a panic over things, I'm like, okay, we're in a panic's happening, and then kind of dealing with myself a bit more head on, rather than being like, you're overreacting. That's not helping me in the situation.
Yes, spot on.
How about you?
So, well, before we go to me, Sue in the comments there has saying that rejection sensitivity has shaped my entire life and career. The fear of saying something wrong or coming across as stupid. And Sue, I think we might share a brain, because that has been my reality as well. So I had quite a squiggly career of, like, I haven't worked in that many places, but I've had lots of jobs in each of those places, because I would always get distracted by something that looked a bit more fun over there, or that I really kind of fancied doing. But that actually, as soon as I objectively got to a point where I should have been good at it, or felt like I could stand on my own 2 feet, and I maybe any kind of critique that I got that little bit harsher because I was assumed to have some skills, I think that is far more deeply connected with my need to run away from it than there was also the shiny object on the other side that was attracting my attention. Absolutely. But, you know, I trained as a business journalist. I started doing long form writing. I loved it, and I continue to love it. It is a big passion of mine. I met some fantastic businesses, got to tell their stories. I got to be really creative about how I did that. I would write 3,000 words and send it to an editor. And of course, logical brain, of course, that would come back with changes, and with maybe put this bit in this bit, and that's gotten a bit too personal, that's a bit too like corporate sounding or something, you know, try putting this bit up there. And they could literally send it to me and be like, and for those of you who know me from Big Hugh will know, like, Brian was the loveliest editor, and he would give you the feedback in the kind, you've done a fantastic job, just have a look at these notes. But for some reason that would land in my brain as, who do you think you are? Get yourself, and like, immediately just stop it. Go and get yourself a job somewhere else where you don't have to write words down, because you are awful at this. Who, like, literally, who are you to think that you could do this? And that that disproportion, which I can laugh about now, but I still don't write anymore, because that disproportionate response to that stuff was my entire life for 41 years. Was feeling that kind of thing and not realizing. I knew that it was a bit weird. Like, I knew that clearly not everyone took feedback this badly, but I didn't know why, and I didn't know what to do about it. So I didn't know that there are different types of negative thought. I didn't know that we can identify them, and we can, name them to tame them, but we can figure out what type of catastrophizing we're doing, whether we're assuming that we can read other people's minds, whether we're assuming we can read the future, whether we are going worst case scenario to worst case scenario to worst case scenario, and whether we do that take a step back, pretend this is somebody else. What is the real message here? If I'd have known that those were tools that I could use, like, my entire career could have been so different if I'd just known that it wasn't normal to feel that way, and that I could have done something about it that wasn't stop doing the thing you love. And that's like, if I have one quest in everything that I do and working with people who want to run their own businesses, is that I want them to be able to do the things that they love. And often confidence is one of the biggest things that stops people. And I think the RSD, the rejection sensitivity, sits right there as a big feature and focal point. And it can be different. Like, life can be different. I don't feel that way now. And when I do, when that kind of stuff creeps in, it doesn't stay. And
Yeah,
yes, I'm
that's so
not the
true.
world's most confident person, and that's okay. I probably never will be. But like, I can make peace with that stuff now. And I think that's the difference. I never knew how to exist peacefully with that. It just drove me to make big decisions that weren't right for me. And now I know that kind of peace. And that's the big thing that comes from investing in yourself and investing in doing these kind of activities, is accepting that you can change and things can be different for you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's so powerful as well. And I'm so glad that like you've managed to get past that and like actually realize that it's not a reflection on your talents or who you are. It's just you didn't have the tools that you needed to deal with the things that you were dealing with at the time. And actually like um yeah, it's got like being able to actually kind of separate yourself from the reaction and be like, okay, like editorial wasn't great for you at that time because you weren't able to deal with the feedback, and that's not your fault, and that's okay. Like, it's probably what made your writing so empathetic and creative and all of those things, that deep empathy. However, like, it wasn't something that like you were able to manage at the time, but now you can be like, okay, like feedback's really hard, but if you do get into a situation where you do need editorial feedback, if you're writing a book or something like that, you can like first of all brief the people that are giving you feedback that feedback is a thing. Second of all, like realize that you might need to clear your diary the day after you get the round of edits, or talk through the edits with someone, so it's not just like sitting at an email feeling hot and sweaty, which we've all been there. And like maybe getting feedback in person so that they can asking people for a shit sandwich. So it's like, this is awesome. This needs work. This is awesome. And you're still awesome and you're not fired. And I love working with you. And like actually kind of being able to like, probably because you didn't know like why this was a thing, you wouldn't have even been able to articulate like what you needed out of that situation. Whereas actually if Brian is as great as he say he was, like I'm sure he'd been super receptive to like, if we're going to have lots of feedback, can we like talk through it and then maybe have a follow up where you can ask questions, being like, when you said tone of voice was, I don't know, a bit too corporate there, does that mean that I'm an awful boring person, or does it actually mean that there could be different words used? But actually, like, because something that helped me was kind of yeah, like I had a real thing about reports. It's just so triggering for me because I used to hand in my monthly reports and then they get feedback and then I send them to the client, and it used to just really stress me out. But like I told my manager that it stressed me out, and she was like, "Oh, okay, like no, it's just like I get my stuff proofread. Everyone, it's a proofreading thing. Like everyone needs a proofreader. You can proofread Katie, she can proofread yours, and then also things like what I used to do is I used to highlight all the numbers in yellow and then change them one by one, so that if there was a number from the previous report, that helped me. But it's kind of, yeah, like actually realizing that you're not insane is a huge reason why Name It to Tame It helps. And then also realizing like what you can do to help future you if
Yeah.
past you hadn't had that support.
Yeah, it's a big deal, isn't it? It's such a big deal. So talk a little bit about group coaching. So what is group coaching, and how will it be working for people? Will people be in a massive group and expected to give their entire life stories? Like, what's the reality of group coaching with Charlotte and ADHD Club?
Yes. So, first of all, it's not going to be paying £200 a month for a webinar of 50 people and you're a teeny, teeny, tiny box in the screen and there's someone talking at you. That's not what it's like. Um, the biggest equivalent that I can think of is like, you know, when you do an exercise class and it's like a small group PT situation and there's 10 people, there's an instructor, everyone's going to be doing the same thing, but like the instructor will help you with your individual things, but like that, but around ADHD. So what we'll do is we'll have a topic of the week. So it's not going to be like, tell me your life story. It's going to be, let's talk about ADHD strengths. The agenda will be sent before the calls, so it's a live coaching session, so we know what's happening, because when we're neurodivergent we like to know what's happening. At the beginning of the session we'll be doing things like kind of talking about like a win for the week and setting a good positive confident setting, and then I'll talk a little bit about like kind of expert knowledge about confidence, strengths, ADHD strengths, for example, the strength session for about 10 minutes. And then we'll have a discussion where we'll talk about, you know, own confidence challenges and strengths or whatever the topic is for each week. And then we'll all have a think about the actions that we want to set between weeks. So, for example, with confidence, with strengths, for example, there will be an exercise about thinking about your proud of me moments. So everyone will have a little bit of homework. And then the next week we'll come back, talk about how the actions went, then move on to a new topic, discuss that. So yeah, it's kind of, so if you've ever had coaching before, that's kind of how a coaching session works, which is where you talk about a topic, have a bit of a discussion, think about an action, but it's going to be with 10 people, so a nice small group. It's going to be managed, so we love an overshare with ADHD, but I will be herding the cats, so everyone's kind of going to have their say, and because it's 10 people, I'll be able to tailor the sessions to the group. So if, for example, we talk about confidence at work and RSD comes up, we might spend a bit more time on that, or I might send you more information on RSD. And then also between each session, there'll be a Q&A form. So I'll do a podcast answering all your questions. So we're not spending the whole session with random questions. I'll save them all and then I'll give you answers via a podcast, which will be fun because I do like the sound of my own voice. And then, yeah, that's kind of how it works.
We all love that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's generally how it works. So there'll be a topic, an agenda. You'll learn some stuff about ADHD and confidence, like kind of the different stuff that we've spoken about today. So strengths, RSD, confidence at work, and then at the end then we will all kind of plan our confidence strategies moving forward, in a small supportive group of people who are all working on the same thing, and it's not kind of as intimidating as like, you know, like showing up to the equivalent of ADHD Anonymous and everyone's like, what are your ADHD challenges, and then everyone kind of trauma dumps on each other. It's going to be kind of focused on a topic, and I will be kind of herding the discussion as well. So if we go off topic, that's awesome. We'll probably have loads of fun, but I will bring us back to the topic in hand. And it's going to be Mondays at 5:30. Like, who is doing anything on a Monday night? Probably not a lot. And yeah, we're going to speak for an hour and then, yeah, on a topic and then do some actions. And then hopefully over the course of 4 weeks, you'll be able to practice different practical strategies. So like, as I said, before, there's like stuff that you can do about confidence rather than just being like, be more confident. It's like, why don't you think about all your strengths and think about times that you've used them and write a list of that, so that when you're feeling a bit rubbish, you can be like, hey, oh, Creative Charlotte did make a big picture. Ooh, picture.
There we go.
Like all of those things. So that'll be an exercise. So yeah, like over the weeks, you'll have different exercises that you can do. And the awesome thing is, it's not just kind of telling you how to do it. It's actually like you'll come up with strategies, and then test them out, and then you can see how they went, and then see if you want to try something else. So it's not just kind of saying, be more confident. It's
Yeah.
actually like practical stuff. And you'll get a workbook as well. So that'll be like a Google Doc where you can write all your notes and stuff like that, and all the information's in, so that if you do have confidence wobble, you can be like, actually, no, I'll redo that exercise of challenging the thoughts, so that then if you have another RSD episode, then you know what to do. And actually, what a lot of my clients do is they have like an iPhone note, which is like what to do when I panic, so you can like copy and paste it wherever you want it. So yeah, the idea is that you'll learn about confidence, you'll have a really supportive group to help you through, and then you'll have confidence strategies to take away for life too.
Love that. Live a more confident life. Oh, who
Yes.
wouldn't love that? Who wouldn't love that? So they start, so they're on a Monday evening, starting in a week today.
Yeah.
Today, exciting.
I know.
So there are 4 weekly sessions running for an hour every Monday evening, so like straight after work times.
Yeah.
And so 4 weekly sessions, and a weekly podcast from you doing a Q&A, making sure that people get answers to their questions, and a workbook, so everyone will leave with strategies that they can take away with them and like put into practical use in everyday life. And I think for me, like one of the absolute biggest selling points of anything like this is that you get to be with other people who understand how your brain works, because theirs works in a similar way. We all know that knowing one person with ADHD doesn't mean you know anything more than one person that with ADHD, because it isn't a personality type, it is a neurotype which sits completely separately to your personality, but like it looks and behaves differently with everyone. But just being in a space where you can say, like, when someone gives me bad feedback, sometimes I feel like that means I should quit my job immediately and just like, go and start tending to my garden and try and find a way to grow my own veg so I can be self-sufficient, which may or may not have been something that I've done in the past. But just like being with other people where you can even say that. I mean, it's all well and good me sitting here saying it now. I've had a lot of years of experience now of putting the reality of my life kind of out there in the world, and I'm a little bit sort of more comfortable with that. But not sure that it's a big whole world thing. So being able to come into a group where you can do that, like that's a big thing, and it really helps. Oh, Barry says his video skipped to the beginning. I don't know why that would be. And Barry, you know me of old. You know that I don't do technical particularly well. But this whole video is recorded. So at some point, you will be able to catch up with the real-time conversations that we're having, I hope. But yeah, I'm afraid I have no clue what's going on. We are still live out to the world. So
yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, Barry. I hope you enjoy it from the beginning. He's going to get this 40 minutes in.
Benefits of being in ADHD with a group.
Yes, for sure. And it's the kind of thing where, like, if you are having a wobble at work that week, you're not going to say to your manager, I actually think that I might be entirely incompetent and I deserve to be fired because I've been so unproductive. But it's a safe space where you can be like, I've been so unproductive that I'm worried I'm going to be fired. And then we can, I don't know, I'm like, is that true? Like, have you done nothing this? Oh, I did show up. I mean, you showed up to the meeting. That's awesome. Like, that's kind of. So as Suzy said, if you want me to tell me that you're wonderful, that'll happen in coaching club. But also kind of challenging those thoughts and people being like, oh, me too. I also thought I was going to be fired, and just having those conversations that you can be like, I'm not sure if this is an ADHD thing or if I'm mad, but this has happened. And I'm sure that plenty of other people, like we've had so many conversations where like recently with like ideas where we're like, I was really excited about this thing 2 months ago and now I have to do it and I'm not excited about it, which is kind of why I've launched this quite quickly. So I've kind of given myself like 3 weeks to get it out there and into the ether so that I can confidently just do it. Whereas if I have too much time to do it, then I won't do things. So yeah, what I'm saying is it's going to be a very safe group, a very safe space. We've got kind of rules of engagement to help people kind of like, you know, like a Facebook group, it's kind of like don't be a knob, etc. So I'll be managing that as well, and there'll be loads of room for feedback and things like that. But generally, like when you get a group of neurodivergent people in a room together, it's just a lovely, like, oh, finally I can say the things that you might not tell your work colleagues and things like that. And also it's like often it's the smaller things that make you feel a bit mad with ADHD, because you're like, okay, like I didn't have a productive day yesterday. I then got an email that was critical, and then now I'm down a very deep spiral of not feeling great about myself. Whereas if you would say that to someone else, they'd be like, oh, it's just an email. And whereas like people with ADHD understand that it's not just an email, it could be like on top of a load of other things, and
No
having
such
that kind of,
thing. There's no such
yeah,
thing as just an email. There really is.
yeah. So yeah, so it's actually kind of having that safe space where you can be like, this wouldn't be a big thing to most people, but you guys will understand that it is a big thing. Will be super cool. And yeah, I'm super excited to kind of bring lots of people together who will see things from different viewpoints. And also because like we empathize with each other really hard, it will be a massive group of cheerleaders, and anyone who doesn't cheerlead other people in the group isn't welcome. So please don't sign up if you're not ready to like help other people.
Absolutely. I think but that's it's in with the name and group coaching, isn't it? Like you're going to be part of other people's journey as well, and like that's rewarding in its like on its own. I can't get my words out, but that I also find really nice, like knowing that I can be part of other people's journeys, even when I'm not coaching them or working with them directly, but just in that group environment is like that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so super excited to have a small group. We have already got 3 people signed up, so there are 7 spaces left, and hopefully with this short, sharp marketing effort, there'll be lots of interest. So if you are on the fence about signing up, I would actually probably sign up today. I'm saying that with a sense of urgency so that you don't forget. It's only in a week's time, and also you don't want to miss out. But you guys have got me on LinkedIn, so if you do have any questions, please send me a message, and I will pop the link to my website that's got a bit more information. It's also worth mentioning that I'm doing this in partnership with the wonderful Addy, so anyone who signs up gets 90 days free to try the Addy app. Addy app is awesome. It's got lots of task management, so you can kind of organize your day, set timers on tasks, brain dump, and yeah, if you do have that Addy app, you go to Hub, you go to group coaching, and then just click yes until you've signed up, basically. But if you've got any questions on the sign up process or anything else before you sign up, then please message me or drop a comment. But yeah, I think it'll be a good time, and I'm really excited to kind of share what I've learned, not just from a personal perspective, but I coach people on confidence all the time. So it's, again, not just telling people to be more confident, but actually practicing confidence so that you can choose confidence, which I'm taking as a line from you, Suzy.
Confidence. I love it.
Make an option.
It fits so well on a t-shirt as choose life or choose love. But, you know, choose confidence. Works really well. So yeah, so the course starts a week today. Sign-ups close though at the end of this week. So
yeah, Friday's last day.
Don't hang on till like Sunday or next Monday because you won't be able to get in. You need to sign up sooner than that. So you need to get signed up by the end of this week if you want to be part of this confidence club, coaching through the lovely people at Addy along with Charlotte. Yeah, and I think using the Addy app alongside having this kind of group coaching is a really interesting thing to do in tandem. because it helps you so much with accountability. I love Addy and its sort of gentle but consistent persuasion to get you to do the things that you say you're going to do for yourself. It's a really nice tool to have with that kind of thing. And I think having that to support you and with reminders and with the ability to be super clear about what it is that you're doing from week to week to make sure that you can make those changes and really kind of stick to them and have stuff to bring back to group the next week.
Yeah, for sure. So it'll help you work on your actions that you're going to set between the group and remember to do your homework. And also, yeah, kind of keep you on track with things. And kind of if you've been on the fence about trying Addy and you definitely want to do group coaching, you can try both at the same time and give it a go, and it comes free with the coaching. So there's a sign up code called Confidence 24, and then you get 90 days on the app, so you can give it a go at the same time. So yeah, if that's something that you want to try, then you can do that. So yeah, that's kind of an added bonus. But yeah, hopefully I will see lots of you there. And if anyone's got any questions, like message me. And me and Suzy are also ADHD coaches, so we have individual clients as well. So message Suzy if you want one-on-one coaching, if you're a business owner, or message me if you want one-on-one coaching. Yeah, but what's your availability like? You're quite popular, aren't you?
Well, it has been said. I'm booked until March at the minute.
Oh, awesome.
So that's really canny, actually. I'm pleased. It's always an up and down journey, as these things are. But yeah, so if you're looking, I mean, just by the time we've gone through the process of getting to know one another and stuff, March will be upon us before we know it. She says, as someone who's slowly coming to terms with the fact that January is nearly over. So yeah, I've got slots coming up in March, and yours are a little bit later in the year, I think.
Yeah, kind of. Speak to Alice about my availability. Yeah, kind of. It depends on what day of the week, basically, but I'm pretty much fully booked kind of through February and into March as well. It just depends. Like Thursdays are looking pretty good at the moment, but I've got a few people about to start. But also, if you've been on the fence about like whether you want ADHD coaching and this is for you, like group coaching is quite a good gateway into it. And also it's a bit more affordable than individual coaching. So it's £150 for 4 weeks, whereas normally my sessions are about £150 an hour. So it just makes it a bit more accessible as well. So if you want a gateway into individual coaching that is a little bit less intimidating than one-on-one, this is a good option. But yeah, if you want to follow us on LinkedIn or send us messages, please do. And hopefully this has been helpful. Yeah, I think, are we okay to say goodbye and
Have we finished? Yes, of course.
have a hobnob?
Hobnob. I'm going to go and have one of the noisy snacks that live in my office. But thank you very much to those of you who've watched us and listened to us talking about ADHD and confidence. Don't forget, you've only got until the end of this week if you want to sign up for Confidence Club with Charlotte and Addy. So you'll need to get onto that by the end of the week. And yeah, we're going to come back and try and do another one of these in a very ad hoc fashion, as we do as ADHDers. But yeah, it's always lovely to talk to you, Charlotte, in front of the world.
It feels weird because I haven't actually had the LinkedIn window up, and like we talk to each other quite a lot anyway, so it's kind of like you guys have just been privy to like a slightly more profesh chat than normal. And yeah, normally but it kind of it has just been like a nice chat. I love it.
It's just more cats. It's amazing to get through.
Hiding.
Go and hunt a cat.
We will. Shall I try and find a cat?
Okay. You go and find a cat.
And
yeah, if there's anything that you particularly would love to hear Charlotte and I talk about in terms of ADHD and what it's like to live with ADHD and how to, hi Penny, how to live better with ADHD. Clearly the advice is get a cat. Get a cat who performs on camera in just the way that Penny does. Oh, you know, she looks so calm and laid back.
Well, it's because she was sleeping.
Oh,
so I'll put her back soon. But yeah, this is my emotional support cat. Bless her. But she basically was a lockdown kitten, so she's like very tolerant of being picked up on things. So
Yep.
basically was overhandled from a young age. So she's pretty malleable, and also is kind of as needy as I am. So
I love it.
she's generally, so for anyone who...
Cats that match
Okay,
her. When
just
she's
gonna
born.
pop her out.
The
No
right way.
butthole, Penny, not the butthole.
There we go. Lovely.
Do you want to protect her modesty? Okay,
Let's
bye.
go. Bye.
Bye.